First, I would like to thank Rebecca also for organizing this event. Give her a round of applause. It's not easy to organize events, and I kind of know this very well because I organize tournaments, karate tournaments, and I was in CSA for the first term. I've been in NHS for at least 2 years in sophomore year. So I'd like to formally begin. My name is Ahmed Abdelqader, and I'm a junior in the mathematics major. As I just mentioned before, I've been in CSA for at least a term. I've been in NHS for at least 2 years. I came into school on Saturdays, putting in hours just with SHSAT and other events where we had to, speak with parents, work with teachers, that kind of thing. It's hard work, but it's worth it. There's great moral value behind it. So when I decided to run for senior class president, I asked myself, well, what are the responsibilities of the president? And it's actually a lot of misconceptions here. So I decided to speak with the current senior class president, Michelle, and I found that many people have multiple misconceptions. A lot of these misconceptions are reinforced by other presidential candidates. For example, the platforms include going outside for lunch and making sure that there's toilet paper in the bathroom. That's great and all, but the real responsibilities of a senior president is to make sure that our senior events are executed properly. These senior events include senior assembly, senior winter trip, senior spring trip, senior Fridays, senior dues, senior major t-shirts, and the senior t-shirt as well. Prom, that's a big one. Graduation, that's also another big one. I have to make, well, not I, whoever gets elected, hopefully it's me, but they have to. Graduation is a big thing, that's for sure. It's our last moment at Tech, and a lot of the aspects behind it is that you need to collect information for caps, gowns. You need to distribute information, make sure that everyone knows where graduation is, which I believe senior planning committee is also deciding on and looking into. Also, the senior president gives a speech at graduation, so that's another important aspect to think about it. And then, of course, other smaller events. So, the senior president also needs to be able to communicate well with their senior class. Your concerns about senior events are important because these events are for you. They're not for SGO, they're not for NHS, they're not for a small organization comprising of 50 to 200 people. They're for the 1,331 juniors that we have. So, the one important aspect of this is to have improved communication. Yes, we have our Facebook page, which has about 800, 900 students. That's not a perfect percentage. I always want, optimal, 100%'s not bad. But, so, yeah, a lot of things like senior events, especially since this is our last year, it would be great to use the send-only mailbox, the one so that everyone gets the message. But it would also be better such that we have town hall meetings, which other candidates have mentioned before. Once every 3 weeks, once a month, that meeting that Principal Asher is holding pretty soon from now to explain the new DOE schedule, that's something like that. Because we need our students not only to understand why we have these events, but what exactly is happening. Many students are saying, oh, why does math period end at 3:19 or this, and that? Well, it's because we need at least 7 hours of instruction period. It's because we need this and that. And a lot of students don't get that. That's because they're not told. They're not told that aspects of the events. So, another idea that I have is that a lot of people, the BTHS website isn't really explored that well. A lot of people, break in all its, jewels, if you want to put it that way. But the minutes, they're a tedious task. I remember in CSA taking minutes down of notes of things we had to do, permission slips we had to get, all that kind of stuff. And the thing is that these minutes are actually posted on the BTHS website, but not a lot of students know about that. So I'm trying to make sure that maybe we can have it not only on the Facebook page, but along with the BTHS website. Also, the senior president needs to attend meetings with the other executive members, vice president, secretary, parliamentarian, and discuss the concerns that your class of 2015, has. There's also one other aspect. The senior president, as an executive member, also receives a secondary position. For example, Michelle's secondary position is a member of the student leadership team, meaning she represents our school and has to work on issues that our school deals with. It could also work to becoming a representative as part of networking, which I believe Rebecca does now as junior president, where she goes and represents our specialized high school in front of other high schools as well. There's always that secondary position which not a lot of candidates understand. It's very important. The senior president is also in charge of work distribution. We have many events. There's no way one person can get it done. So it's important that we distribute the work evenly and appropriately. It doesn't make sense to give work to someone who wouldn't be able to do the job properly. If we give events to people who can't do them properly, who don't enjoy their job, then there's no point in doing that. The job's not going to get done, it's not going to get done well. From previous experiences such as organizing priority tournaments, NHS events, and events for the mathematics majors, I understand the responsibilities and difficulties attached to each agenda that the senior president faces. While other candidates represent the ideas that are relevant to the position, they neglect the core duty of a senior president. As senior president, I will make sure to carry each and every single responsibility that the president has. I understand that for any events, you should rely on the strengths of your fellow students. Punctual timing is key, as time is an asset that cannot be saved but only spent. Once you lose it, that's it. I understand that right now, as juniors, we've been through a lot. Our schedules have been extended at least twice. I remember a lot of us remember common time, 2:10, 2:15, getting out that early. That doesn't happen anymore. And now we've school at 3 a.m. Many of us take multiple AP exams. I think we still have a lot more. Anyone taking US history next week? Yeah, good luck with that. I'm taking exams. A lot of us work after school jobs, have volunteer positions. I myself, I volunteer at a community center and I teach karate there. It's something I enjoy. We all have our certain fortes. We usually like doing certain things, working at a hospital, working at a medical office, working in all these fields and positions. A lot of us, we're dedicated to these things and we don't want to lose these things as, say, our part of ourselves. We hold a wide variety of activities, and as our high school education comes to a close, we want to enjoy our last moments. If I needed to say one thing to the junior class, I would say this: we're almost there. We have only so little time until we graduate, so just hold a little bit longer, just a little bit. We only have one more year. We're getting there. We've been through 3 years together. We have one more. As senior president, my sole goals and responsibilities are dedicated to making sure that our senior year is coordinated well, and that every event occurs appropriately. If events are properly executed, there's less stress. And a less stressful senior year is a more enjoyable one. Especially since we start, applying for colleges next year. That's pretty scary. It's a big step in our lives, and we need to make sure that we take responsible choices, because you can only apply once. Well, many applications. You get the idea. A lot of concerns that all the candidates have mentioned and that we generally have are like going out on lunch, air conditioners, bike racks, and there are a lot of issues that we have. And personally, I believe that yes, we should tackle down these issues, but we can't neglect the important issues that need to be done. For example, you can't say, oh, we're not going to have prom this year, so we'll just do it next year. We're not going to be there next year. So, you have to make sure that you get your priorities straight. What I will say is that I will tackle on as many issues as possible. An issue that many of us have is unavailable bathrooms. Yes, many of the bathrooms have been locked. Does anyone know why? People steal toilets. The reason now look, see, I originally thought this, and I was like, oh, maybe they're just punishing the students, because some of them, vandalize the bathrooms, this and that. And it's actually, see, this is one of the problems, miscommunication. The real reason is because they're actually trying to fix the bathrooms. And the thing is that not everything is under their control. Because, for example, the custodians are in a union, the security guards are part of the police department. A lot of these things we think Principal Asher has control of, but, it's sometimes out of his jurisdiction. So, what are you going to do? What I will say, which is important, is that every action made by the administration has a reason. And the responsibility of a senior executive, or anyone in the student government really, is to make sure that you know that reason, you know why, and you know how it affects you. That's important. It's not, sure, we can tell you can't do this, you can't do that, we can't have this, we can't have that, but why? It's important to know why. It would make it more understanding, it would make it more easier for us to continue our high school education. Air conditioners are another fun topic. It's pretty simple actually. Consider this. Imagine if, well actually that room has an air conditioner. Yeah. Okay, now imagine if we had an air conditioner in every single room at Brooklyn Tech. Now imagine if we turn on all of them at the same time. That's a pretty big problem. You're going to have the power circuits here blowing out. You're going to have the entire block with no power. And it's completely impractical. The amount of money you're wasting just to turn on ACs in every single room, that's a lot. That's really it's not necessary. Remember, we only have one more year. We can pull through just a little more from 3 years of test. Going outside for lunch. Stuyvesant kids have it, Madison kids have it, a lot of other schools have it, why don't we? And the thing is that we're a really large school. We're about 5,500 students. And granted, we have periods 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 5 lunch periods. That's about 1,100. I'll cut it off. Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts and I have a lot of ideas, but just the main point here is that we need to get our senior activities done. Because otherwise, without that, what's the point? What's the point of senior year? We're not going to interact, we're not going to have fun, we're not going to be able to do any other thing. The main important thing is that we get our senior events done and we get them done. Since everyone has clever slogans, that kind of thing, Viva America.